access is based on responsibility. What you share with your friend is different from what you share with your lawyer. You can't hide from your lawyer. What you share with your doctor is different from what you share with your friend. You can't keep your medical condition away from your doctor. You have to be open. Access is based on responsibility. Access determines the information that you share. And access is built on boundary. If you have not seen the video that I made on boundaries, please check it out. The video is available in the channel. And if you have not yet subscribed, I encourage you to subscribe to this channel and join the community. I know you are enjoying the video. Subscribe to join the community. And feel free to drop your own thoughts in the comments. There are people that shared information that gotten them into big trouble. I know some of you have examples of those kind of people. Anything that I'm putting on social media, anything that I'm putting in the WhatsApp group, you want to first of all assess it. Why am I sharing this? What am I even sharing? When do I need to share? How do I share? What do I share? You know, when you look at our God, the Bible says the secret things belong to God, and those are revealed belongs to us and our children. Our God is a good manager of information. He doesn't just release information anyhow. Even when Jesus was on earth and he was showing people how God is, there are certain information that he will teach in parable, and the meaning he will reserve it for his disciples. There are level of access to people, and there are level of access based on their responsibility in your life. And Jesus would sit his disciple down and explain the parables. And God himself, we saw him. There are things that God would do, and the only time he speaks about it is when he's about to manifest. Because when you speak, you are creating. So you have to be careful what you are speaking out, what you are sharing with yourself in your heart, even, and what you are sharing with others. Because there are people that have shared, and that has messed up so many things for them, including aborting the miracle. Our God, he will share things when there is time for it to manifest. When in the beginning, that Genesis 1, when God said, let there be light, light was already manifesting. When he said, let us create man in our own image, men have already been programmed in his mind. It was already completed in his mind. Because every time you are sharing things, and you are sharing your goals and your dreams and your aspirations and your plans, what it's doing is that it's depleting your energy that you could use to ruminate on it and make it grow into fruition, into becoming and coming into manifestation. Is depleting the energy that you could put into making that dream perfected. It is like you have a pot of plants, and every time you are pulling out to see the roots as it's going, you will kill the plants. That's the way you want to think of information. Our God is the one that sits on information. He said the things that are revealed belongs to us and our children. There are certain levels of revelation that you don't get to experience with God until you enjoy a deeper communion with him. Some of you will be scrolling through people's status to follow what they are doing. Sit in God's presence. Sometimes you are asking people questions to see what is going on in their life. Sit in God's presence. God will begin to tell you what is going on in your life. And if you sit carefully with a right heart, a heart that cares for others, you will begin to experience and see the revelation of God, the good thing that God is about to do in the life of others. I would always say this, that hope is the foundation of faith, but love is the building block. The more you grow in love, the deeper is the revelation that you experience of God. When God was about to create and to start manifesting, he started talking. You don't want to experience the silence of God. Throughout the 400 years when the Israelites were in Egypt, God didn't speak. And when God appeared to Moses, God was ready to get the Israelites out of Egypt. Whenever God is speaking, he already have the action planned out. It was already time to manifest. Some of you are speaking too early. Be like God. Every time God speaks, it is a time of manifestation. That is why, as a Christian, I don't know why I'm going into this, you need to know the difference between an instruction and a command. Because instruction builds faith, but a command is a step of faith. When God is giving you instruction, turn right, turn left, take a few steps, step back, sit down, those are instruction. The instructions of God are in His word. All scriptures are given by the inspiration of God for doctrine, for correction, for instruction in righteousness. The instruction of God are in His word, and He will give you even exposure to that rhema on what to do. Instructions are very key to our relationship and growing in our relationship with God. But when it comes to command, faith built on command, you follow it with action. Some of you are sharing too early. You are still in the process of instruction. The miracle, the blessing, the breakthrough is not fully fleshed out, but you are sharing it too early. But there are things that you need to understand, that when you share this instruction too early and you have not gotten to the command part, you are attracting the wrong crowd. There are key examples that come to my mind about people who shared information and they shared information wrongly. Before I go into that, let me quickly talk about why sometimes we want to share this information. I mean, sometimes we tell ourselves, I want to share. I want to tell people what God has done. Sometimes the best way to share your testimony is to just say, see what the Lord has done. See what the Lord has done. What we waited for has come to pass. See what the Lord has done. Those who can see deeply will figure it out. There are times we give testimony and we code it. Yes, there are times that we have to code the testimony. Yes, you are giving, you're saying it, you're sharing it for the glory of God, but there are times that you have to realize that you don't know how that information is going to interact with the hearers. You have to code it. Just like Jesus will speak in parables, just like God will step out when He's ready to manifest. Sometimes the reason why we want to share, and we end up sharing with the wrong crowd, sometimes is insecurity. Sometimes we want people to validate us. We want to get that validation. I said something about a woman with no friend has nobody that is sharing with. So he has enough capacity to process it, to process what God is building, what God is birthing, so that when it's fully mature, that is when it manifests. Sometimes it's a sign of insecurity and lack of confidence when you want to share, when you want to talk, when you want to say everything that God is doing, when you are grabbing the microphone quickly. The miracle is just still in a birthing process and you're already sharing. They've only interviewed you for the screening, for the job, and you're already sharing. They are just telling you that, what we are saying just looks like a gleam of light. You're already out there sharing the testimony. I'm not saying don't share. But ask why, what, when, how, where. What you share on your Facebook is different from what you share on your Instagram. What you share on your thread is different from what you share on your WhatsApp. What you share on your YouTube channel is different from what you share with your family. Information sharing should be based on access. Insecurity. Sometimes we want people to validate us. We want people to know what we're doing. I mean, we're doing it. I mean, we're happening. It's happening. God is doing it. You don't need people to validate you. It is your life. It is your journey. Nobody thinks or cares about you like that. Sorry, I'm not trying to be harsh. It's just the honest truth. Sometimes you're thinking, what will people think? What will they think? That is something that limits people from reaching their potential. When you think about what will people think, what will God think? What does God think? As Christian, as children of God, the main person we are trying to please is God. Every other person is a noise. That validation. I remember when I started the YouTube channel, and because I just wanted to share the thoughts that I have around some spiritual things, I want to share it so that I can build myself in my faith, I can build myself and grow. And I felt like putting it out there will also garner other people to learn from it and also help me to learn from others. So I started this channel. But I knew that sometimes people could perceive this type of thing as somebody starting, like you're starting a church. So that was what I thought. I mean, I'm saying it now. You guys have full information. So I paused a little bit and I said, okay, I have some leadership in my life, pastors that I've worked with. I'm going to reach out to them and let them know that I'm starting this YouTube channel. And God said, no, you are not. You are not doing that. I said, but God, I don't want people to think, oh, she's trying. God said, you are not doing that. Anyway, I started pulling out the video without getting any permission or any direction from anybody. Whatever God puts in my mind, I share with you all, my friends here. And at some point when we have gotten above 200 subscribers, I felt like I know some of these pastors that have been mentors and I've served under them. I felt like some of them have been watching. They've been seeing the videos, and I don't want them to feel like I just want to do this all by myself. I need their input. I need their leadership. I want them to be able to speak over my life. So I went back to God and said, God, do you want me to share again? Well, I decided to share and send the link and notify this particular fellow. Up until maybe tomorrow, I will hear from her to see what she has to say. That is a response. I learned something. Not everything is for public disclosure. Who to share with? And at that point, I realized I was looking for a validation. God didn't want me to go to that route. So when I did not get the response, it was like God saying, told you so. God has a sense of humor. He knew that was going to happen, and he didn't want me to be in that situation. What I'm saying is that sometimes when we are sharing this information, we need to ask ourselves, why am I sharing it? Am I sharing it for people to, for me to look good in front of them, for them to validate me? I'm still growing in this journey of knowing what to share, how to share. And before I stop, I stop at the point of what metrics to use to know what to share. I just want to share quickly about the danger of sharing information with the wrong people. You know, information, like I said, is intelligence. The devil does not know everything about our life. So when we share information, we are not only giving that information to people, we are also exposing that information to the spirit that they carry. Which means that if those people, even if they have the right spirit, the right heart, but they have contact within their own network that have the wrong spirit, that information may land in the wrong hand. And when that information lands in the wrong hand, the devil has a foothold to use against you. Let's start with the example of the young prophet. Remember the young prophet in 2 Kings? God told him, go in there, deliver the message and get out. As soon as you deliver the message, don't eat, don't wait, don't sleep, get out. As it was John, he did what God told him to do. He delivered the information. It was a powerful, impactful delivery. And then as he was stepping out, In fact, during the delivery, the king was so mad and he pointed at him that somebody should get him killed. And God made the hands of that king wither. He had to pray for that, and the hand of the king to go back. It was a powerful experience that the young prophet had. But on his way, that's what I'm saying. But when it comes to information, you want to follow through. Whatever instruction that God has given to you on a particular breakthrough or journey, follow through. Don't follow it to a point and drop it. There are certain good news that you have. You are so excited, you are so happy to share it, and God will say, not now, follow through. Sometimes God will not allow you to share it until 10 or years or donkey years after. The young prophet, on his way, he was traveling back. And then the old prophet, realizing and hearing what God has done, went to go and block him, met him. The old prophet talked to the young prophet. What did God tell you? The old prophet was open. Oh, this is a colleague I can share. He overshared. He didn't make it back. He died. Destinies can be aborted just because you overshare. An example that comes to my mind is Joseph. He would see all these dreams, and Joseph would go to his brothers, and he would tell them what God is doing. I saw these stars, and I saw the moon and the sun and 12 stars. And I saw one star standing, and all the other stars were bowing down to him. The brothers didn't hear about the 11 other stars. All they heard was the bowing down part. They were envious of him. Like I said, some envy will not come unless we share. That is why you have to be careful who you are sharing with. Ask yourself, why do I need to share? What is it going to trigger in them? If they find out, that is fine, and they ask you. And at that point, if they are purpose partner and they find out, maybe God has revealed it to them anyway, maybe that's a good time to share it. Because it will be painful for God to have revealed something to people and you are not willing to share. Just like the case of Elizabeth and Mary. God already alerted Elizabeth of what God was doing with Mary. There are some revelation that comes that way. But there are some revelation that you have to conserve until its manifestation. Joseph's destiny was almost going to be frustrated. Because the brothers determined that they were going to do something bad to him. First they threw him. They said they were going to tell their dad that this, your son died. He was killed by an animal. And then the first child, I'm forgetting his name now. He said, no, let's not kill him. Let's just sell him. So they sold him to slavery. And that was how he landed. It was only the grace of God and the faithfulness of Joseph that made that prophecy over his life to come to pass. It would have been aborted. It would have been aborted. Can you imagine the daughter of Pharaoh sharing the news of Moses as the son of Hebrew with our own father? After she picked up Moses, she knew that Moses was an Hebrew boy. That was one of the boys that the father was going to kill. No. She didn't share it with her father. She kept it to herself and nursed the very man that God was going to use to deliver his people from the hand of Pharaoh. Destinies can be aborted. Miracles can be delayed when an information is shared with the wrong people. There's a lot of distraction of energy when an information is shared with the wrong people. It's a lot of unneeded exposure. Unneeded exposure. Sharing information with the wrong people brings unneeded exposure. The example that comes to my mind is the example of King Hezekiah. That was a king that God has really favored and helped. Everything was doing well. And then the queen came to visit. And when the queen was around to visit, this king showed her all the artilleries, all the military gadgets, everything that they had. She showed everything. There are depths, there are experiences, there are blessings that you don't open up to everyone. After that interaction, God sent his prophet. What have you shown? He said, yes, I've shown them this, I've shown them that. God said, very, very soon, those people are going to come after that blessing. And that actually happened. That led to the Israelite being taken into exile. Information is intelligence. Start thinking about it that way. It's intelligence.